Oh, great. Yeah, so I just did a whole video, but it canceled it. So let's do this over again. We're going to go to Trading View. You go up here to your tabs, type in Trading View. Okay. Go to tradingview.com. At any point you need to pause for this video, pause. Go here to Launch Full Chart View. Can you see the pink hand? Click that, and now you get the big chart. Okay, now we're going to look at SOFI stocks. So you just click in the middle of the chart anywhere. Type in SOFI. Enter. And I've got all this stuff here. I'm gonna that's about what you should see. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is go into split screen. Okay, do you know how to split this up? So you'll have YouTube on the left here, and then I have Trading View on the right. And on the right side here, you click on this, and then that'll widen it. Okay? If you're not able to do that, if you're not finding out what's going on, just move on. You'll learn about it later. But you have my video on the left, and then you have the chart on the right. So you're not clicking back and forth. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So we have SOFI here, and we're going to go all the way back to the beginning. So we just drag. Click, drag. Okay? Click, drag. And we're on the daily. I don't know if we're on the daily, but right here, the D, 1 day. Do you see here? So get it to the daily. If you need to pause at any point, you pause. Go to this here. Okay, I'm just going to start teaching you these shortcuts. You got to start memorizing this stuff. Okay, Alt H. Press Alt H on your keyboard. Okay, so I just put in a ton of lines there. Takes a while for them to come up. Okay, to erase them, you just click on the line, and then you can click delete on your keyboard. Go ahead and delete, 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 delete. Alt H. There you go, the line comes up. If I want the line down here, Alt H. Okay? You can change the color of the line, clicking on it. Okay? Orange, yellow, green. Okay? If it's a long-term significant line, that's a top, it's an orange. On the bottom here, long-term significant, it's a green. Click it. Green. Orange top, green bottom. Hopefully you're doing this while you're watching. If at any point you fall behind, just forget about it and move on. We need to get through this content quickly, and you don't want to get frustrated. So if you just can't do it, it's fine. You go to over here to the side here, and you can click the line, the trend line, and then you have this trend line, and you can go up and down, and you can follow the trends. So I can go from this top to this bottom. Look at that. That's a nice trend line that we got there. That's going to be yellow. That's a local. That's a local trend line. Okay? Here's another local. Okay, click one of these peaks and then click one of these bottoms here. There you go. Now you can guess that what is the angle here. Look how similar they are. You can actually take this and drag it. You can see how similar the angles are, right? Actually, if you take this line, grab it, bring it over, go to this first candle wick. Now you should be on right here, candles. If you're not on candles, go to candles. But look how it fits pretty nicely. It's not bad. It's not a perfect fit. That's what you're looking for, the repetition of something in the past that was recent that you can now use. And actually, if you had used that, how would we use that? Well, we got to look at this from our perspective of our past selves. Now we're looking at SOFI stock back on Thursday the 6th of May 2021. So this is all we have. Back in time, this is the entire chart. But we can draw this line here, right? Let's take this line away. You just click it and then press delete on your keyboard. And then go ahead, Alt H here. Where? Do you see where my crosshair lines up? Do you see how at $14.79 you've got a couple points, touch points here? I'm going to zoom in by using the scroller on my mouse. I zoom in. Okay? Do you see how that's a touch point? That's one. And here's touch point number 2. That's enough. Here's a third touch point. Doesn't quite touch it. So now that's significant. It's significant, so it's green. If it was just 2 touch points, it wouldn't be green. It'd be blue. Okay? Now we have this other high here. This isn't much, granted. It's not much, but look at, there's confluence. I go to this line, Alt H. Look at it. It was a local top, and now it's a local bottom here on May the 5th. And remember, March, that's March 5th. Remember, we're looking at this as if we're in May, as if we're here. So this is all we have to go on. That's the entire data set. That's not enough. Okay? It could break down from here. It could have. It didn't. It went back up. So now let's imagine that we look at it again. And we're looking at this stock every day now because we've identified it as a stock that's worth looking at. So now we've looked at it every day, and then we see, oh, look at it. Now imagine today is June 2nd, 2021. We're looking at it and it hits this orange line. It hits our orange line here. That's interesting. Now it could keep going. That doesn't tell us anything. We're looking for the repetition of pattern. There's no repetition here. When we're looking at a daily time scale, we need at least a year's worth of data. If you're looking at a stock and it doesn't have a year's worth of data, you need to have some kind of experience in order to get into that stock. Or another method, a method that I'm not teaching here. But under technical analysis, you gotta have something to work with. And if you think you're a savant, you're gonna find out that the market doesn't think that. And you're gonna paper trade. And we can go into paper trading on another lesson. But just, you gotta believe me. You can't get into the stock yet. There's nothing there. It's just... However, we have this line here. Remember we drew this line back? We drew the line with 2020 perspective in May 6th. You could have drawn this line like this. If we imagine if it was instead we first drew this line March 30th, then the line would look like that. And then it had a little breakout, came back down, and that fits really excellently. I mean, that's such a good fit. Can you see how there's so many touch points on this line? That's an amazing line. Now notice the line, it cuts through this candle wick. I don't care about top wicks. Now you could fit it perfectly to this wick here. And there you go. Now it doesn't fit here perfectly. And it doesn't fit here perfectly, but I mean it's pretty perfect actually here. No matter how you, that tiny change in angle doesn't matter. Repetitions happen with variety. Okay, when you look at a bag full of cereal, cereal pieces are designed to be the same, but they're not. We are looking at trying to find a breakout of this line. We want it to go up, unless we have a thesis that this stock is going down. But generally your thesis is going to be a stock is going up, so you want to break out of this line. So it broke out here and it went flat and it came down. Nothing to do here. So now we got to imagine we're back in August of 2021. In August 2021 we see, oh look at this. The same line that all we did was copy it and put it over here, and it fits pretty well. It's not bad. It's something to go on. And then we've got this original line here, and we've got this original line here. So if you want to take a breakout trade here, you could. If you took a breakout trade here at, let's say we bought it on August 4th, this green candle, we bought it somewhere during the day, $16. That could be a play that you could have made. You would want to put in less than 1% of your portfolio. This is throwing in the first line into the water. When you're fishing, do you expect to catch fish on your first? No, you don't. But if you never throw in the first line, you'll never catch fish. So you have to throw it in there at some point. You put in a tiny bit of your portfolio and you say, okay, let's see what happens. So it went up here, and then do you see how it gapped down? This is a gap. If you go here, now are you able to get to this menu? Do you see how you have to click this tiny little arrow? Go to parallel channel. Go here. And we want this straight. How do we make it straight? Just click shift. And I'll give you 45 and I'll make it straight. Boom. Then we go down. And then we click it again. And see, that's a gap. See that there's no candle there? There's nothing in between there. It's a gap. So a gap down, and then it went below the green. It goes below the green. What do? You just sell. You just take the loss. You don't build upon that. You want to build upon wins, not losses. So you sell on this candle here, and you're going to take a loss. It's not a big deal. And you want to get used to taking losses because you have to. If you're the greatest trader in the world, you're winning 70% of the time. I mean the greatest of all time. You're winning 70% of the time. That means 30% of the time you're losing. If you're a good trader, you're winning half the time. If you're a good trader, you might be winning 40% of the time, but that 40% that you win, because the wins are so big that they're so much bigger than the 60% of times that you lose. So you get out. And then there's nothing to do here. This second line here, remember that? We put that in back here. We wait. We wait to see if the market regards this as support. And it does. It doesn't even get to this line, and it goes back up. And then this line here, it's regarding this as support here. It's not regarding it as support here. It goes up. It has to come down and back test it. And it does here. It back tests on Thursday, the 30th of September, and it doesn't even touch the line. And then it goes back up. But we don't know that this is a test yet, because this test could have failed and it could have come back down. We only know it's a test until it breaks this local high. So in this range here, we do nothing. But now it's broken out here. So you could take a trade here. Here on 13th of October, you could take a trade. Because this is support, this is support. And now it's back tested it and it's confirmed it. Here's your confirmation. From here you can buy. You can put in 1% of your portfolio. Look how here it now regards this as support. This top now becomes support here. It comes back and it comes down. It tests it. But when does it regard it as support? When is this line going to be regarded as support? Only when it breaks above here. And it did break. It broke above here with a green candle. So it broke above, confirming that this is another line of support. So you could have bought it here, and you could have waited. And you could have said, let me see how the market reacts to this orange line. Well, on Tuesday, the 9th of November, before it gets close to that orange line, it goes down. This is a shakeout. The market is trying to shake you out to see if you have any conviction. But it hasn't gone below. You're still positive. You've actually made money if you bought here. If you bought on Tuesday, the 12th of October, at $18.82, and you see this shakeout, the shakeout got all the way down to $19.89, you do not sell. You do not sell until you take a loss. Now, the next day it goes up. What a crazy shakeout. The market sometimes is going to be crazy like this. And if you're looking at the daily, you have to make decisions on a monthly time scale. If we were looking at it at the 1 hour, now we're at the weekly. So look at this changes. So now we're looking at the 13th, the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, the 17th. Now we're at the weekly. Can you see and understand that we're looking at things at the daily? And at the daily we see that there's December, January, February, monthly. Now the point with SOFI is this. Do you see how these lines, sometimes they get moved around? As you zoom in and zoom out, they move around a little bit and you have to adjust them. So you make your adjustments. But the point here is this triple top. What a gift from the markets. This is what you're looking for. You want to have a stable of stocks in your watch list. Okay, you go up here. And I can't get to it because the record is in the way. I'm just showing you the basics. We haven't even gotten into anything yet. You really wouldn't be buying or selling anything yet based upon the knowledge that I've given you. We're trying to learn the tools. You want to build a house with the best tools. That's going to give you a better outcome. I can't get to it. There. Okay, so you want a stable. See, look at this stable of stocks that I have, and it's changing. This is the now. I've got portfolio. This portfolio is always changing. This is the old view. I don't have these anymore. Some of them I still do. Still have Celsius, and I have GameStop. SMCI I don't have. SOXL. SOXL is the semiconductors. Why invest in one semiconductor when I can invest in all of them? That's all this is, SOXL. And you see that's gone up. You take on less risk by betting on the basket of stocks, but you supposedly get less reward, but no, actually you get more reward. So this is SOXL. I have Uber that I was in. Uber broke out. You see how I drew these lines here? And what happens is it forms a channel. So I drew this channel here in April. I drew this channel. And it broke below the channel. And then it hit this orange line, and what happened? It just stayed there. And then I bought it when it hits the bottom of the channel. This is, what do they call it? When things match up. Things come together. For some reason it's not coming to mind. Confluence. The confluence where you have this channel meeting this orange line, that's a buy. What happened is, it just went up crazy since then. Because I didn't have the mindset of the daily, I sold it on this green candle. What a massive, massive mistake not to take it at least to the top of this channel. And what would have happened if I had taken it to the top of the channel? Well, the thing is that it broke above the channel. And when it breaks above the channel, you don't sell it. You wait. It back tested the channel twice, almost 3 times. Well, I'm not going to sell it until it goes back inside the channel. If it's above the channel, it could go above more, and it did. It went above more. And here you could have sold it because why? Because you have one gap and then you have another gap. Too many gaps. Gaps get filled in the market. Do you see these gaps here? That's a gap. From here to here is a gap. I'm going to take away all of my drawings. Do you see this gap? It's nothing but black space. Okay? This is the gap. This tiny thing here is a gap. Then we have another gap. Here. Here there's a gap. Do you see that? It's a little gap. 2 gaps in a row, that's a sell. Because gaps get filled. Look at this gap here. Do you see this gap here? It's a huge gap. So what you do is you build your trend line out. Here to here is your gap. It's going to fill it. And it did fill it right here. It filled the gap. 90% of gaps get filled. So this second gap here, I would sell it. Because I know it's going to fill it. I know it can't withstand too many gaps. Nvidia has gaps everywhere. Here's a gap. Here's a gap. This second gap got filled. Here's a gap. Here's a gap. This second gap got filled way later, but it uses gaps as resistance too, or support. So you have this second gap here, and it came down to test it, and it bounced up. Here it filled the gap, but because Nvidia is so strong, you would actually buy the gap dip. So sometimes you sell the gap, and sometimes you buy the gap dip. Here's a gap. Here's a gap. This is the strongest stock of our generation, of this generation, you could say. And this gap here never got filled. And it's got tons of gaps that never got filled. What percentage of gaps for NVIDIA don't get filled? I don't know. You could look at it and you could do the math. But at some point these gaps are going to fill. Look at this huge gap. Right? So let's Alt-H this. Bring this line here. Scroll. Click drag. Never filled that gap. That line represents that gap. The top of that gap never got filled. And it may never get filled, right? I guarantee you one day it's going to come down to this line. What goes up must come down. This is ridiculous. Look at this two-legged move here we have. Path. You can go to path here. Okay, the brush, click on the brush. You click on geometric shapes. Path. Went up, down, up, right? Look at that. That should repeat, okay? That should repeat. So you measure it. Click shift and you click on here and you go to this top. 89%. Shift here to here. 73%. So now you have, the question is, will it hit 89% again? Or is it going to hit a lower number? Well, I tell you what, you wait for the formation to happen. You see how it comes up, it comes down. It comes back up. And it forms this little double top. Get rid of this. Go to brush. Or you go to curve. There's one. Okay, we can click it. And we can paste it. I want you to mess around with these different things here. That's your homework. Mess around with these structures, okay? That's one thing. Another thing is that. Mess around with it. Okay? Do that first and then we'll get to the next video. Once you've looked at this video and you've tried out the concepts, then let me know and then I'll make another video. But a half-hour long video, that's a long video. If you could do half an hour of learning a day, you're gonna get far in a year. You're gonna get very far. Remember, time is short. So what do you want to do? What are you motivated to do in life? Are you motivated to do this? God, I'd like to see you put in half an hour a day. Okay, see you later.